Ghost in the Shell was first released in 1995 and currently holds a 95% approval rating on Rotten Tomatoes, making it one of the highest rated animes of all time. At its debut, Roger Ebert gave the film a 3 out of 4, saying that he enjoyed its visuals, evocative soundtrack, and its ideas, but that it was too complex and murky to reach a large audience. The animation is painstakingly detailed, and indeed, the themes of the film are in part carried by the animation itself. The YouTuber Nerdwriter has already made a fantastic video in which he considers the role of the animation in Ghost in the Shell, but what I'd like to talk about are the three main themes of Ghost in the Shell: identity, Cartesian dualism, and evolution. The film takes place in a future city where most of the populace has replaced one or more body parts with robotics. Additionally, they're able to access a vast network of information by literally plugging themselves into the network and sending their consciousness, or ghost, to retrieve the information. Unsurprisingly, this served as inspiration for the Matrix trilogy.
This will feel a little weird.
But in a world filled with people who are half human and half machine, at what point does a person cease to be human? That's the question that the main character, Motoko Kusanagi, is struggling with. Major Kusanagi, a member of Section 9's police force, is entirely cybernetic, with the exception of her ghost, soul, or consciousness, whichever you wish to call it. Because her ghost was originally from a human body, she's still considered human, but she struggles to think of herself as human or even as an individual when the only human part about her is her ethereal, intangible ghost, stored as data in a cybernetic brain. She experiences feelings of confinement in her body, in her job, and of her consciousness.
I feel confined, only free to expand myself within boundaries.
Perhaps most telling of her mental conflict is how she doesn't seem to care about her own nudity. We see very early on that even though she looks like a woman on the outside, on the inside she's all metal and circuitry. Her law enforcement partner and fellow cyborg Bateau serves as an interesting contrast to this behavior. Whereas Kusanagi is questioning her identity and humanity, Bateau doesn't seem concerned with these questions and sees himself as human. He sees Kusanagi as human as well and treats her as such. Kusanagi clearly does not see her own body as sexual, but Bateau acts modestly when Kusanagi is nude. He covers her or he looks away. Their opposite reactions to nudity, in fact, illustrate their different mindsets. Kusanagi feels more machine than human, but Bateau isn't even considering the question. Kusanagi's questions about her humanity and identity are answered when she learns that an AI named the Puppet Master wants to merge his consciousness with hers. At first she protests, citing that she doesn't want to lose her identity, but he explains that
all things change in a dynamic environment. Your effort to remain what you are is what limits you.
By merging their ghosts, they'll actually experience a higher level of consciousness that will benefit them both. In the end, Kusanagi accepts that either she isn't human or the distinction between human and machine is irrelevant. This crisis in identity ultimately stems from Kusanagi's false belief in Cartesian dualism. Cartesian dualism is the belief that the body exists physically, but that the mind does not. Consciousness exists in the soul. Kusanagi solves her identity crisis by rejecting Cartesian dualism and accepting that, as a cybernetic organism, there's no difference between a shell with a human ghost and a shell with a synthetic ghost such as the Puppet Masters. This is further supported by the revelation early in the film that human ghosts can be hacked. Their memories can be deleted, rewritten, and the ghosts themselves reprogrammed. What difference is there then between a human ghost and an artificial intelligence? Kusanagi answers this question by merging her ghost with the Puppet Masters. Another strong theme in Ghost in the Shell is evolution. The Puppet Master, as a child of the net, can't reproduce to create unique individuals or naturally die, so he seeks out Major Kusanagi in order to attain these necessary elements of life. By merging with her ghost, he wishes to create a unique life form while simultaneously experiencing death. The most interesting part about the Puppet Master's wish to merge with Kusanagi is that he sees her as a mirror image of himself. While both are feeling constrained and uncertain of their identities, but have an innate desire to move past their current limitations. Kusanagi is limited by her desire to remain human, but also wishes to change into something greater than herself.
When I float weightless back to the surface, I imagine I'm becoming someone else.
The Puppet Master wishes to rid himself of his own limitations by attaining the vital processes of life. And although Kusanagi never mentions a desire to reproduce, it's worth noting that as a cyborg she can't naturally have children either. The Puppet Master actually reaches out to Kusanagi early on in the film, speaking to both Kusanagi and Bateau.
What we see now is like a dim image in a mirror. Then we shall see face to face.
That was you, wasn't it?
He's actually referencing Corinthians 13:12. This line roughly means that the image I see of myself now is imperfect and obscured to me, but in the future I shall be made perfect and know myself as God knows me, or completely know myself. This line perfectly encompasses the feelings of both Kusanagi and the Puppet Master. It's no surprise then that after Kusanagi and the Puppet Master merge, they first see a mirror upon waking, seeing themselves made perfect and whole for the first time. Ghost in the Shell is a fascinating film, well deserving of its high critical acclaim. The philosophical ideas presented may become more relevant in our own lives as we move closer to a future dependent on technology for survival. Leave your comments below, and thanks for watching.
And where does the newborn go from here? The net is vast and infinite.